He's like, we're going to go to the Halloween store. We're going to buy a prison outfit and you're going to wear that when you go in. It sounded like a great idea at the time. And I was like, I'm here to self-surrender. And meanwhile, I'm wearing a black and white pinstripe outfit. I made a necklace out of pill bottles. So I'm wearing a pill bottle necklace. And he goes, you're going to walk in there dressed like that? And I'm like, yeah.
Hey everybody, this is Matt, and I am here with Dan Wise, and we're gonna do an interview about Dan's story.
Was that the intro?
That's my intro. That's my intro. So okay. This is Dan Wise. Dan Wise. We were actually in prison at the same time, but we never met. Like you were actually in RDAP.
When did you leave Coleman?
I left in 2019, but I got to Coleman to the low in 2009. So you were there during that period of time. You went through RDAP and everything, but I don't ever remember seeing you. But we'll get into that. Okay, so let's start the story. So just tell me, what happened? So first of all, like where were you born?
Connecticut. I was born in Connecticut.
Okay,
yep.
So how'd you end up in Florida?
My parents moved here when I was like 3 or 4. My dad. I think there's
Can we not drop anything in the future, please? Thank you. Go ahead.
My father bought a gas station in Florida, so we moved to Florida.
Okay.
Boynton Beach.
All right. And how old were you?
Like 4-ish.
Oh, okay. So you're basically raised in
Florida. I grew up in Florida. Florida boy.
Right. And then when you went to high school, you went to whatever, did you go to college?
No, I dropped out in high school.
Okay. Oh, okay. How come?
I mean, you don't need a reason, I guess. No parental control. My father died when I was 16.
Some people do. Some people actually finish high school. Okay, I was just wondering, like, was it drugs? I know there's a drug. This is basically it's a story about a pill mill, right? I mean, unless I know you have a different version, obviously, than what the U.S. attorney said. But all right, so what happened? So you started,
I dropped out of high school because I was into filmmaking. So me and my friends would skip school and make short videos.
Okay.
Instead of going to school. That was my reason for dropping out of high school. But the pill mill, that part didn't start until 2010.
Right.
A guy named Sean Clark, which I think you might know Sean.
Right.
He was at Coleman. Sean Clark had a call center, an office in Boca Raton, Florida. They were selling like magazine subscriptions. And I had a credit business at the time, and I was looking to rent space from them to run my own business out of there. And around that time, the financier of the magazine shop, this guy named Lou, was talking about opening a doctor's office in Savannah, Georgia, which I didn't know anything about. But I kept hearing them talk about the amount of money they were going to make and the prescriptions and this and that. And
right.
I wasn't making shit doing the credit. So I thought, hey, how do I get in on this? And they saw an opportunity to bring me in where, I wasn't I didn't do any drugs at the time, no alcohol, nothing like that. And they thought maybe this guy'd make a great office manager because he's not going to steal our product.
So the other thing is, I was going to mention, you don't have any medical experience. You don't have to have any medical. What people don't understand is you don't have to be a doctor to open up a pain clinic.
Correct.
You just have to hire doctors. Like you're running, here's my clinic, and then the doctors can come in as subcontractors,
right.
See the patients, and the clinic basically can be opened by anybody, right?
Yeah. So it was Lou and Sean were the owners basically, and they hired 2 different doctors. This guy, Dr. Asmat, who they brought in as a contractor basically to see the patients and write the prescriptions, and they were paying them somewhere between $2,500 and $3,500 a day was what they were paying the doctor for seeing the patients. Dr. Asmat was only there not even a week, and patients were calling back and complaining because they weren't getting the prescriptions, the quantity that they were used to getting. He was writing them less, both on the milligrams and on the quantity. So it was complaint after complaint after complaint. So I got a call from Sean. He said, hey, I need you to go in there and tell Dr. Asmat he needs to step up and start writing prescriptions. We have unhappy people. So I'm like, okay. So no,
or did you not realize that that's just completely inappropriate?
Well, there's a whole backstory to this. I knew it was inappropriate from the guerrilla marketing they had me doing to bring in patients, which was
Going to other pain clinics and leaving flyers?
No, it was
I know that
way more fun than that. It was walkie-talkies, renting hotel rooms, staking out the pain clinics, watching patients drive in from out of state,
right,
and then sneak in as they were leaving, chasing them down on the interstate, flagging them down and giving them a card saying, hey, next time you're going to come get your prescription filled, instead of driving all the way to Jacksonville, Florida, we've got an office right here in Savannah, right off of I-95, which is, 3 or 4 hours, 5 hours less
closer.
travel time. And, that's how we kind of built up our clientele before we opened. So the red flags were there like out the gate. But at this point, I was already committed. They promised me 10 grand a month, all expenses paid. Plus they were going to continue to pay my condo in Florida and my housing expenses in Savannah, Georgia. And they gave my girlfriend a job and my best friend a job. So it was like, I get to bring my best friend, my girlfriend with me. So I knocked on Dr. Asmat's door and said, hey, patients are complaining. They want you to write. Man, he shut me down so fast. He's like, it's my DA license on the line. You don't tell me what to fucking do. I'm the one that goes to prison if this shit goes south. And I was like, all right. I know my place. So they fired him.
Right.
Out. He wasn't even there a week. Gone.
He's got to go.
Yep.
This guy did nothing worse than an ethical doctor working at a pill mill.
Canned him. So they brought in another doctor in. Guy, Dr. Gossett, Ken Gossett. Real cool guy. He was a older doctor. They brought his wife in, and he was just writing the scripts, going along writing the prescriptions. Needless to say, feds came in, and
how long was the clinic opened?
Man, 2.5 months.
Are you serious?
It wasn't long at all, bro.
So you only worked there 2.5 months?
Yeah, I never saw any money either. Nothing.
This is a horrible story.
Usually you hear these stories where it ends with like, well, did you get away with any money? It's like, no, I didn't get away with any money. Got away with a prison sentence and a convicted felon.
So what happened when the feds came in? I mean, they raided the place, right? Did they come in hard, or
they came in twice? They came in the first time. It was like the DA that came in the first time, and they were like, oh, you don't have enough posters on the wall. You're fined for this. You need to have more Band-Aids on the wall, fine for this. So they went out and bought all the stuff that makes you look, I guess, legitimate.
Right.
And then they decided to open another pain clinic in Atlanta. So they sent me to Atlanta to train the people in Atlanta. And right around this time of opening the Atlanta pain clinic, every morning, Shelly and I, my girlfriend, would talk on the phone because she still was working in the Savannah office. So I'd call her on my way to work. She wasn't answering her phone. So I was calling my best friend, who also I got a job there. He was the triage guy that would kind of watch you pee in a cup. And he's not answering his phone. So I log into the camera system. We have a IP address camera system. Cameras are down. Then Sean calls me. Sean's like, hey, have you heard from Coaster or Shelly? I was like, no. I was like, it's kind of weird. Right next door to the pain clinic in Savannah was this place called Fatso's Burgers. So I called Fatso's, this guy, Tony, that owns it. He's like, Dan, where the fuck are you?
All right.
I was like, what do you mean? He goes, dude, he exaggerated. He said, there's like 500 agents out here and they're looking for you. I was like, what are you talking about? So I'm freaking out now thinking, oh my God, what happened? So I go back to the hotel, I get my stuff. I go back to the pain clinic in Atlanta to grab whatever belongings I had there. And when I get in the rental car, I hear a tap on my door, on my window. And I look over and just a guy, regular guy. He's like, Dan? And I thought it was a patient that just recognized me. As soon as I said yes, it was like guns out. They swarmed out of everywhere, DA on me. And they're like, get out of the car. We have a warrant for your arrest. And so they arrested me. And then the fucked up thing is like, and we saw you throw that pill on the ground. I was like, no, you did not see me throw a pill on the ground. I was like, I have weed in my suitcase, which you're about to find.
Right.
It was like less than an eighth of marijuana. I was like, but I didn't throw a fucking pill on the ground. And they're arguing with me like, well, how'd that pill get there? I was like,
pill mill.
I was like, you're at a pain clinic.
Yeah.
They're like, what do you mean we're at a pain clinic? So they didn't know where they were because they were sent from the DA agents in Savannah, just called their, cohorts and sent them over there. So, but they still ended up charging me with that one pill. And that's how they arrested me that day in Atlanta and put me into an Atlanta County jail, which was that whole getting from Atlanta to Savannah in custody and bonding out from one and getting to the next and bonding out. That was a fucking nightmare.
Right.
Man.
So the pill was what? It was oxycodone?
I don't even remember. I have no fucking idea.
Okay. Probably. So well, they got you. Did you ever get bond or?
Yeah. I bonded out.
Nice.
I bonded out because it was a state charge they originally hit me with.
Right.
So I bonded out on the state charge, and then the feds hadn't indicted yet. They offered me a pre-indictment plea And, I'm sure you're familiar with what that is. It's a plea to information.
Yeah.
They offered a plea to information, and I said, okay, if I plead information, does that mean like I'm just going to get probation or something? And they're like, well, we're going to cap it at 60 months. I was like, 60 months probation? They're like, no, 60 months prison time will be the worst case scenario. And to me,
had you talked to a lawyer?
I had an appointed attorney.
But you talked to him?
Yeah.
So you knew the severity? Or you didn't realize?
He's the one that told me, but he's the one that offered. Well, he's the one that presented the plea deal from the feds.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good. You're good. Got to keep it checked sometimes.
Right. Well, what happens is what people don't realize is like the feds will, or whatever, the investigative body, the officer, whoever it is, he'll say, hey, I can do this for you prior to you actually getting an attorney. And you might say,
oh, yeah, they did do that. I forgot.
Right.
You're right.
Well,
I was still in county when they did that.
Right. Well, then you're like, nah, I'm not interested. I'm not interested. Then you actually talk to your attorney and you realize what you're facing.
Yeah.
And then you go, oh God, like I thought I'm getting probation. And now I realize I'm looking at a minimum of 15 years, or I'm looking at possibly 15, a minimum of 10. And okay, wait a second. Let's talk about signing something. Let's talk about the deal. Let's talk about.
It's like a roller coaster of emotions.
Because going through that whole process of the pay mill process, or in like a legitimate or a semi-legitimate business, it doesn't feel like you're breaking the law. I'm just saying from the mortgage industry, it's like initially I was like, it's a little something here, a little something there. Like it doesn't feel like I'm not robbing a bank. I'm not going in with a gun. I'm not doing anything violent. I'm not running into someone's house and stealing something. And like I don't feel like I'm doing anything that bad. And then you get hit, and suddenly they say $40 million over the course of this many years, and you're looking at
their
30 years, and you're going,
it's a bit different from what really happened.
Yeah, you're going, huh? No, I changed a 4 to a 6. No.
I remember
I'm
when
saying
the feds,
it's got to be the same thing, right?
It was exactly the same thing, because when we opened up the pain clinic, I remember looking at other pain clinics that got shut down, like the George Brothers, which were big in Florida.
Right. I wrote a story about them called Pain. And there was a book, American Pain.
American Pain, right. So American Pain was one of the pain clinics they had. That's probably why it was called American Pain. Yeah. But so I'm looking at all these reasons why they got hit. And I'm like, all right, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're verifying MRIs. We're checking prescription histories. I was like, fuck, we're good.
Right.
Needless, I didn't know that the feds kind of create their own narrative to what they want it to be viewed as.
Right.
I really thought there was good and bad and legal and not legal. I didn't know there was this gray area that the feds would wander into.
You watched too much Law and Order.
Too much TV. So when I was sitting in county jail in Atlanta, they're like, Mr. Wise, you have a visitation. It's a legal visit. And it was the feds came to see me. And I'm like, oh, thank God. This is a mistake. I'm going to tell them what happened, and they're just going to let me go.
They're gonna cut me loose.
Yeah. So when he comes in, he was this guy, Doug Kahn. He was the lead DE agent. I'll never forget this piece of shit. He comes in, he's calling me Bud. He's like, hey, Bud, how you doing, Bud? And I'm like, oh, man, I just want to go home. And he's like, yeah, he starts saying these things. Well, you guys are doing this and doing that. And I was like, no, we weren't. He kept saying all these illegal things we were doing. And this is before I had an attorney. And I was like, no, that's not what happened. I'm being sincere. Man, he stands up in the little conference room in the jail and slams his hands down on the desk. And he's like, you're not fucking helping yourself. You want to rot in here, you piece of shit.
Yeah, you know what he was trying to do.
He was trying to get me to.
Well, not just get you to admit to something, but what they'll do is I had FBI agents come to me when I was in Coleman. Initially, this is after I'd been sentenced. And they came to me to talk to me about a politician that I'd bribed, right? And they were like, you bribed this politician. I'm like, right. I mean, they've got like $15,000 worth of checks. They've talked to all these people that have said, you can see where I gave the guy cash and he deposits it direct. Like I pull the money out of this bank account, like $8,000 or $10,000, give it to him. He turns around and deposits into his account like $8,000. Like it's like the same day. So you can see, and then there's like $15,000 worth of just checks. So when the officer comes to me, he's like, so that you bribed him, blah, blah, blah. I was like, yeah, right. And he goes, the FBI agent said, so you understand that like the statute of limitations is up on that? I'm like, right. And he goes, well, his name is Kevin Michael White. I go, right. He said, you ran a scam you made a synthetic identity named Michael Kevin White. It was Michael White. And I went, right. He said, you actually borrowed money in that guy's name, opened bank accounts, pulled money out, and gave it to him. And I go, right. And he goes, so he must have known about the scam. You used a variation of his name. And I went, no, he didn't know anything about it. And he went, no, listen, let me explain. He said, he had to have known. And I went, no. I said, what's funny is I just seen his signs around the neighborhood and I was already naming my characters like red, green, black. So I used Michael White. I thought it was funny. And he looked at me and he went, yeah, but a jury would never believe that. Like a jury would infer that he had to know. And he said, you understand the statute of limitations is 10 years on bank fraud. We can get him for bank fraud. He said, so if he knew, we could get him on that. You'd be helping us and you'd be helping yourself. And I went, yeah, but he didn't know. And I'm sitting there still thinking, don't lie, don't manufacture anything. They're looking out for you. They might even be a trap.
Right.
Like, don't say, and I'm sitting there thinking, now I realize, no. If it had been 3 years, 5 years, if it had been 4 years later, I'd have been like, what do you want him to have known? Absolutely, he fucking knew. It was his idea. That's why we used his name. Of course. I mean, because I'm still thinking it's all up and up. It's all legitimate. They're all looking out for you. They want to do the right thing. But the truth is they're basically saying, help us frame this guy because we can't get him on the crime we know he committed, but we can still get him on something. So let's go ahead and get him. It's a slam dunk. And I'm thinking, no, that's not right. That's not how it works. And they must be lying to me. They must be manipulating me or something. But listen, bro, but it's the same thing. They're trying to help you. Like, look, we know you might not have done some of this,
right,
all of this, but fucking say something. Yeah. Give us something. Yep. Lock some of these guys up and you'll help yourself. And that's what I think they're really trying to do.
They're just not straight shooters about it.
Right. No, they're slippery.
Yeah. They play the manipulation game.
Right. Because think about it, even if you read that in a transcript,
right,
it sounds like they're not manipulating me.
Right.
They're just trying to explain to me why this is what really happened, and you need to. And it's like,
and a lot of people would just go with that.
Yeah.
Reading the transcripts from my own story of what eyewitnesses, like when I would go make bank deposits,
right,
they would say, "Oh, we knew something was up." When Mr. Wise would come in, he looked completely disheveled. His shirt was always wrinkled. And I'm thinking to myself, wow, these people just would say whatever because I was that fanatic weirdo every morning ironing my shirt.
Right.
And that was the one thing that to this day bugs Shelly, my girlfriend. She's like, it still bugs me that the tellers would say you came in there with like this wrinkled, disheveled shirt. We were late to work every fucking day because you would sit there and iron your shirt and press it so you looked.
Yeah, well, you were the front guy. You were the guy that looked real good and clean and everything, and the whole thing. That's why they hired the office manager who can.
Yeah, I was definitely. I feel more and more stupid every time I talk about the story because it's just like.
But it seems legit. You've got licenses. You've got doctors working here. I mean, I've done enough
Theoretically,
stories.
it was legit. Theoretically, it was legit. In the end, not to jump ahead of everything, and you can go through whatever you want to talk about. But in the end, the pill I had to swallow, in this whole thing was, even though that I technically didn't break a law, I still contributed to opioids getting put back out on the street because I knew drug-seeking people were getting them,
right,
but these drug-seeking people had the proper documentation.
Right. They met
to
the criteria.
Get them.
Right.
That's why there's TV shows and movies right now with like the one with Michael Keaton and it's about the whole pill mill operation.
Right.
It's huge on Hulu right now, and it's exactly what I went through. And it's the blame was all put onto the pain clinics and the patients. There is no responsibility taken by Big Pharma.
Right.
That's a whole nother fucking story.
But so your lawyer came in. He said, offer of offer of information.
A year later. So I turned down the. They didn't offer me a plea deal right away.
Right.
I was waiting, and then about a year later, I moved back to Florida. I opened up my call center. I had a student loan settlement call center.
Out on bond?
I was out on pretrial for about 2 years, and everything was going great.
Right.
In South Florida, Shelly's got her cosmetology license, and we're living in and then all of a sudden, I hear a knock at my gate, but a loud knock at the gate. And I thought maybe it was my cat jumped up on the gate. So I walk to the balcony, I look through the window, and I don't see anything. And then I hear a boom, boom, boom on the door. And I'm looking down the balcony. I see this guy lean back, and he's got DEA. And I'm like, oh, fuck. The door flings open. You see him just one after another coming through the doors. And they run in the townhouse, and they're screaming, Shelly Morford, we got a warrant for your arrest. I'm not going to fucking lie. For an instant, I went, whew, they're not here for me.
Shelly, I'll put money on your books, baby. Be strong.
And I'm like, I don't know what she did, but it's not with that, because they'd never gone after her at this point.
Right.
So she's in the shower, and my little Chihuahua Oliver goes running down the stairs, and I hear, there's a dog. And I'm like, what the fuck?
It's a fucking
so
Chihuahua.
I'm running down the stairs in my boxers, and they got like automatic weapons pointed at my dog. So I scoop up my dog. I'm like, identify yourself. And I said my name. They're like, we have a warrant for your arrest out of Savannah, Georgia. I was like, fuck. So they send a female upstairs. They already got me in handcuffs sitting in the kitchen table. They send a female upstairs to get Shelly. Mind you, Shelly's never had a speeding ticket.
Right.
They bring Shelly down in handcuffs, and Shelly walks right by me, and she's like, don't say a fucking word to these pigs. I was like, fuck. Where did she come from? You know, I've been with her for years and never seen that gangster side of her. But yeah, that was the day the indictment hit.
Right.
And that's how I found out, you know, and they wanted to deny me bond. They said, you've seen this before. He's a flight risk. He's a danger to society. So my attorney at this point didn't know that this had happened. They wouldn't let me call him right away. So I'm going to my bond hearing, and they appoint me public defender or whatever. And the public defender is like, they're going to deny bond, this and that. And I'm like, I'm not a flight risk. They knew exactly where I was.
Right.
Like, I've been corresponding with them for the last 2 years. He's like, if you can prove that, then we could probably have a shot, but we're gonna have to ask for continuation, because if we go in front of the judge today and he denies it based on evidence that's provided today, he's like, he's probably gonna deny you, and you can't come back in front of this judge. You'll have to wait until your next court date.
Right.
So he asked for continuance. So I sat in county jail for 2 weeks. Well, my public defender got everything to my real attorney, and the shit went back and forth, back and forth. I went in front of the judge, and about 40 people showed up, and the judge ended up issuing bond, and he scolded the government for it was lies, saying they didn't know where I was. I was on the run. They had sent mail to my house to my name for me to sign. I mean, the feds are just
they're just dirty,
bro, dirty. And it's what people don't understand when they're in trouble.
Well, and what's funny too about that is that like everybody thinks like they can't lie to the court. They'll get in trouble if they lie. If your defense attorney lies, he might get in trouble, but the government can blatantly lie and threaten you, and they get a free pass for everything. So they'll get in there and say all kinds of stuff that's not true. I mean, in my opinion, you know, which I could be, I'm a little biased, but I don't think I'm much.
And what does your opinion matter, Matt?
Yeah. So go ahead.
But yeah, that's the day the indictment hit, and I bonded out, and then they offered me because I turned down the pre-indictment plea.
Right.
So this is when now I'm like facing some serious fucking time. I'm facing like 20 plus years. It was a 52 count indictment. Basically every single pill that the doctor wrote from the time that they opened to the time that we got shut down was what everybody was getting charged under that same amount. And they did have me on camera. I've got the videotape. I should give it to you. I've got the video from the discovery of an undercover narcotics agent coming in wanting to see if they could get pills from the doctor. And the doctor, Dr. Gossett, wouldn't give him any because he didn't have an MRI or anything. Right. But cleaning up the patient rooms every day after the patients leave, found some pills on the ground. It was like 2 pills. We put them in a bottle and stuck them up in the medicine cabinet. And this guy that's claiming to be a landlord for an office that they want to open is trying to see if he can see the doctor. And I'm like, no. And he's like, I hurt my back. And after like 30 minutes, this guy begging about pain, I was like, dude, I've got a couple you can just have. Right. He's like, oh, that'd be so nice. He's like, how much do you want for him? I was like, I'm not going to charge you for him. It's like, just meet me outside. So I met him outside. I gave him the 2 pills that I had, and he was an undercover agent, mic'd up. So they thought there was like a ton of pills in the back somewhere. Right. And it was just when they came in, when they raided the fucking shop, they were so let down. This is how serious they wanted to get into the pain. So when they detained Shelly, and when I was in Atlanta still, they wanted to get into the pain clinic, but they didn't want all the patients to scatter. They wanted them all to get in, then lock the doors. So the agent has her gun on her. She puts the gun in Shelly's purse and has Shelly holding her purse with the agent's gun going into the pain clinic. And it was just, all of the shit is so absurd that it doesn't seem like, I'm sure this happens more than not. There's just so many little fuck ups like this the whole way where it's like, how is this even possible?
Right. How is this? Yeah.
So ultimately, came down to it. The doctor that got fired, not even working there for a week, he didn't take a plea deal. He went to trial and lost. Got 11 years he got hit for. He wasn't even there a week, and 11-year sentence they gave him, Dr. Asmat. Dr. Gossett, who was there the entirety, he got the same sentence as me, 42 months.
He took a plea?
He took a plea, yeah. Everybody took a plea except for Dr. Asmat.
Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, and so you went to, you went to what, Coleman? Did you go straight to the low?
Yeah, I self-surrendered. Yeah.
Right.
Yep. That was a whole nother story. I decided to wear a prison costume.
Oh God, yeah, I remember this. This is fucking hilarious. Sorry, I'm sorry. Yeah. So you were self-surrendering. I mean, you show up at the prison, and you actually wore a prison. Did you video it?
I videoed it, and I'll send you the pictures so you can use them if you want. But
yeah, we got to put these up. He shows up in a fucking like striped or what?
Yeah, it was right around Halloween time. September 23rd is when my surrender date was given by the judge. The judge is like, you have to self-surrender on September 23rd by 2 p.m. So my buddy Matt's like, you got to go in there and make an entrance. And I'm like, you got any ideas? And Matt's like, yeah. He's like, we're going to go to the Halloween store. We're going to buy a prison outfit, and you're going to wear that when you go in. It sounded like a great idea at the time. And as I'm getting closer and closer to the prison, I'm like, dude, I don't know. He's like, bro, you've been talking about this. I'm like, who the fuck are the people? I don't have a YouTube channel at this point. So I was like, oh, fuck. All right. So I get out, Coleman, R&D. Yeah. I get out to walk in, and the perimeter guard that drives around the pickup truck, he sees me walking, and he pulls up. He goes, can I help you? And I was like, I'm here to self-surrender. And meanwhile, I'm wearing a black and white pinstripe outfit. And I made a necklace out of pill bottles. So I'm wearing a pill bottle necklace. And he goes, you're going to walk in there dressed like that? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay, good luck. So I go buzz in. They let me in. So I'm sitting there. They're like, have a seat. So I'm sitting there for about 20, 30 minutes, it feels like. And then off in the distance, it's like a movie. It's like the only thing that was missing is some smoke. I see 3 giant men walking my way. I can't remember the lieutenant's name. Big giant lieutenant.
Did he have the black hair and a ponytail?
Yes, him.
Yeah, he's huge.
His wife, I think, was the one.
His wife is doing life.
Yes.
Right.
Then there was the other big guy that looked like from Adam's Family or something, looked like Lurch.
Yeah.
And then there was a black lieutenant. Stocky.
Yeah.
So they're all 3 walking towards me, and I'm still wearing this outfit, and they're videotaping and they're taking pictures. And as they get closer and closer, I just stand up and I put my hands up like, you got me, coppers.
Right.
When I tell you these guys snatched me up, it was like they ripped the life out of me at the same time, ripped the outfit on me. He gets down in my ear and he goes, you think we're your fucking friends, faggot? That's what he said to me. I was like, oh my God, I am so fucked. And
this just went bad.
They went bad. They put me in a holding cell. They drug tested me. I did Molly the night before, which I've never done in my entire life. First time I did Molly. So I'm on a come down from Molly. And of course I smoked weed. Now, evidently, I didn't know Molly is sometimes cut with methamphetamine. So I test positive for meth. I test positive. So they're like, we should send your ass to the medium. You want to play? So I'm thinking I'm going to the medium. I didn't know what the fucking difference was.
Right.
I thought I was going to the camp. I had no idea. I was just so naive to all of this. So they put me in. They let me sit there for a couple hours. They send me off into the low. And then I get to the low. Then everybody thinks I'm a sex offender. Because
why?
Because do I look like a drug dealer?
I mean, no,
Not
but
really. I'll tell you, well, here's why. Because guys start walking up to me. Where are you from? South Florida. Oh, what are you in for? Everything I've ever seen on TV is you don't talk about your crime.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, I don't want to talk about it.
Oh, yeah. At the low, if you say, well, my lawyer said not to talk about my case, then it's like sex offender.
Right. And I didn't know
because otherwise you'd at least say, bank robbery, or you'd at least name the charge.
In county jail, you don't want to talk about your case.
County jail, everybody's trying to actively cooperate right then.
So for people that are watching, the difference is in county jail, if you got some kind of like case or whatever, they can jump on your case and knock time off.
Right.
Once you've been sentenced,
it's harder.
Shit don't matter, really, unless you've got shit they don't know about.
Right.
So a guy walks up to me, he's like, this guy, Rick, A1 unit is where I was at. And he's like, what are you in for? And I was like, I don't want to talk about it. So he walks off. Another guy comes up to me. They called him Bama, big country boy. He's like, hey man, where are you from? South Florida. What are you in for? I don't want to talk about it. Finally, Rick circles back around and he goes, hey man, I'm going to ask you one time. You fuck with little kids? Oh, I was like, what? I was like, no. He's like, what, you don't want to talk about your case? He's like, you don't want to say what you did? I mean, what are you, computer fraud? That's what he.
Oh yeah, that's what they all say.
For computer crimes, and I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, no man, I worked at a pain clinic. He was like, well, I'm just saying, it seems suspicious. So I had to go get my J&C, judgment and committal, from my team manager, and it showed my crime. And once I showed that, it was all good. But it's just, I was like, green thumb, bro.
That stigma, even after that, could still, you know what I'm saying? Because it could still go from person to person who never gets to see it. Like, it can still, a year later, people could still
Lucky
be
for me, like Sean Clark,
right,
my co-defendant,
Right.
so he was able to like vouch for me and stuff, and you know.
Yeah. See, it's funny, when Sean was there, I was there, and I knew Sean. We ate lunch a few times. One time he got in trouble by the lieutenant, and went up to the lieutenant's office. This was like literally we were walking out of the chow hall, and they wanted to search him or something for like he had bread on, like they found bread on him, and he said something like, "What, are you gonna bring that home to your family?" Like when they go, "Give me that," and he goes, "What, are you gonna bring it home to your family?" He goes, "I'm just hungry."
That's so Sean, bro.
Right. So then they go, "Oh, okay." They go, "Give me your ID." Takes his ID. He goes, go on. We'll talk to you later. So he walks off. We're sitting there talking. Next thing you know, he gets called to the lieutenant's office, and he looked at me. And he goes, "Huh." He's like, "I guess I'll get my ID back." I said, "Listen, bro." I said, I know you're a big guy, because he's a big guy.
Yeah.
I said, don't be a tough guy, bro. Just keep your head down. Say yes sir, no sir. Like, don't get smart. Like, these guys aren't. You're gonna end with the shoe for 90 days. They'll ship you. They'll make your life miserable. Just say you fucked up. I apologize. That's it. And he goes, "Yeah, all right," and he just walks off. He goes to the lieutenant's office. He said he walked in the lieutenant's office, and the one with the ponytail and another lieutenant, they jumped up and got in his face, and they were like, "You think you're funny? You think you're funny, huh? You disrespect my, my officer, huh? Boy, I had this, I had that. He just started yelling at him stuff, and he just looked at him. He went, "Come on, man, that ain't gonna work with me." And he just started laughing and chuckling. And that lieutenant went, they looked at each other and they go, "Man, here's your ID. Get the fuck out of here." And he turned around and walked off.
Yeah.
If that had been me, I'd have been, "Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry." And they would have tortured me for 5 minutes. I'd have played the game knowing I'm walking out of here. But he's such a big guy.
Yeah.
Then he walked off, and he walked right back down with his ID. And I said, "What happened? What happened?" He told me what happened.
They eventually did ship him, I think, to Yazoo.
Yeah, he got shipped
towards the end. But
not for that.
No. I think it was just a normal transfer type thing. I tried to steal out of the chow hall once. I tried to put eggs in my socks, and I walked out, and I must have looked guilty or something, but because she fucking pegged me out and took the eggs. She's like, "Oh, I got something for you." She gave me a pink lawnmower, and I had to mow the lawn right in front of the chow hall. I had to sit there and push this, fully dressed.
Sweating your ass off. Yeah.
Full greens, bro, boots and all, just pushing this lawnmower, and there's no grass to cut.
Yeah.
It's a push. These are push mowers. These aren't like, there's no engine on these things. Like,
oh, I know. I love the guys where they would give them a water bottle and tell them to water the lawn, and you walk up and down, and they walk around, and they're like, "There's no water in it." They're like, "Just do it." "But I don't have any water." "Pump that handle." Okay, but it's just to humiliate you, obviously, but it's comical.
Yeah.
Technically, you're not allowed to humiliate anybody for a punishment, but they do it all the time.
Oh my God, all the time. When I was in RDAP, you have to wear these lanyards, but you don't have to wear the lanyard until 7 a.m. So I went to breakfast, and there was this one fucking CO, this guy with these bottle, what do you call it? Like
bottle glass, bottom top glasses or bottle top glasses.
Yeah, super thick. Right. And he was just a dick, and he hated everybody in the RDAP unit because he thought the RDAP unit is just a bunch of snitches.
Right.
They're teaching you how to snitch. It's a bunch of soft ass people in RDAP.
But the moment he gets busted, he's desperate to get that year off for RDAP.
But he saw my bracelet, so he knew I was in RDAP. He goes, "Aren't you supposed to wear a lanyard?" And I was like, "You don't have to wear them until 7. He grabs me, yanking me by my shirt, bringing me back to the RDAP unit, telling on me to Dr. Smith. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, "You're doing exactly," and she basically scolded him. She's like, she didn't call us inmates. She'd call us participants or some shit like that. Our participants aren't required to wear these until 7 a.m.
Right.
And it was just, and this is how a lot of the COs were. They'd go out of their way. When they would toss your unit, if somebody would talk back, they would just make everybody pay for it. It was just, but there was a lot of pleasant experiences in prison. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I took a lot of good away from my experience in prison. I'm remembering the bullshit right now, but there was plenty of good shit too.
I think the RDAP thing is like, I think everybody should have to take RDAP. Everybody.
In life.
Yeah.
When you hit 18, go to RDAP.
Yeah. Hey, this is Matt, and whatever, I'm so bad at this. I'm getting worse. I actually had it really down well for a while.
Hey, this is Matt's channel. We're going to go on to the next video here all about RDAP.
Yeah, but actually it'll be posted in a few days. Anyway, so hey, if you like the video, do me a favor and subscribe, hit the share or hit the like button, hit the bell to be notified, share the video, leave a comment in the comment section, and I think I respond to about 70-80% of them. Sometimes it's just a thumbs up. But regardless, do me a favor and do all that stuff. Also, by the way, I also have a book and I sell paintings. So you can, in the description, we'll leave my link. And if you're interested in buying a painting, by all means, hit me up on my email account. So yeah, I think that's it. All right, that's it. See ya.